Welcome back to Game Points with Matthew Ross on TSN Radio 690. Follow the show on Twitter at TSN Matthew or online at GamePointsRadio.com.
Welcome back to Game Points. I am your host, Matthew Ross. We're here till 7 o'clock tonight. Brandon London running a little late. He'll be in with us next segment. And it's unfortunate because he's going to miss our next guest. You heard the music, and that means our blue blood has arrived from TSN 1050 and CFL.ca. You can follow him on twitter.com/mcauz56, CAUZ. It's Matt Cauz until his phone craps out as usual. How you doing?
And yes, and when my phone does crap out, to the audience listening, just don't worry, because what will happen is Matt Ross will do his best to fill, as we use in the business, and then I will call back and I will come back on. But to Brandon London out there, I love the guy, but is he ducking me because he only had one catch against Ottawa? I mean, admittedly, it was for 51 yards, and Montreal did win the game 2010. But is Brandon ducking me? What's going on?
No, Brandon is at acting class right now, apparently.
Oh, okay. Oh, ooh, considering I was a theater major back in my day in McMaster. Oh, okay. I like him even more. He's literally like the only Montreal Alouette I've ever liked.
Wow.
Wait a minute, Matt. Mac University has theater. I thought it was an engineering school where smart people go to.
Yeah, I know, but I wasn't very good at math and science.
All right.
Trust me, you know that time, like early in high school, when you start to realize what you can and can't be? It was somewhere around grade 10 where I'm like, well, I'm not going to have a job where I'm an interpreter for French, because I dropped French after grade 9 general, and math and science went bye-bye as soon as possible. But I did have the lucrative double major at McMaster of both theater and history. So I had that going for me.
Yeah, a lot of stuff you can do with history, yeah. Matt Cauz joining us here on TSN 1050. Matt, from the outsider's perspective, I don't know if you watched the game Friday, but and you shouldn't have with 2-1-7 teams. But the Alouettes won.
I didn't.
I want to get your take on, I'm sure you've seen the highlights, the stats, what you're hearing, your thoughts on Jonathan Crumpton, who now is obviously entrenched as the starter. And if they win against Hamilton next week, then you got a divisional race at least.
Well, yes, you do have a divisional race. Let's face it. This is putting a Band-Aid on a massive flesh wound with Jonathan Crumpton. If Crumpton, and listen, he can prove me wrong. We've seen the history of this league and in any sports league where a guy, who no one expected, it comes out of nowhere. But when you're the third-string quarterback in Montreal, what does that tell you, at the very least, about your history of success in the past? Listen, I love they won the game, mostly because of you guys and Brandon London. Let's face it, I'm an Argo fan, so I have no love lost for Montreal. But, and I'm glad they won the game. But, you beat Ottawa. Ottawa's a horrible team. And, a lot of that had to do with Brandon Whitaker, who I, predicted was going to have a good game. But again, anyone could have told you that considering the state.
Well, he did fumble at the goal line, so could have been even better for Whitaker.
Well, listen, he got you 100 yards. This is not a good year for Montreal. What more can you ask for? I feel you're being a little bit nitpicky over there.
Matt Cauz joining us here on the program. Tell me about Hamilton. I mean, they obviously were having a much better year last year. They're garbage as well this year, or at least not having a good start. What do you see on that team, why it's gone wrong, and how do they match up versus the Alouettes for next week, basically?
Well, first off, to see what happens tomorrow at glorious Tim Hortons Field. Beautiful, fully filled, concessions running amok, and all the corporate suites available. Tim Hortons Field. The main thing, obviously, is, of course, that quarterback. Henry Burris came there. They go to the Grey Cup. Henry Burris leaves, and say what you want about Henry Burris, and we can giggle about him. We have in the past. But the dude's healthy. And then you have, the Zach Caleros injury. Then you have other injuries at quarterback. You have, more departures defensively for this team that we saw from last year. We see a very uneven running attack where some weeks C.J. Gable looks great, and other weeks the man gets one carry. Literally one carry. You guys have interns there that could get more carries than what he got. So I think that's what it comes down to, and it's a second year in a row. And good on Hamilton for getting away with it last year. It's the second year in a row where the team has no consistency. They have no routine in terms of where they're playing, where they're practicing, and it's been tough on them.
Matt, when you look at this game even more, how important is it for one of these teams to hopefully win, especially for Toronto, considering right now that they have not played well given their injury history of late?
Oh, sorry, I didn't catch all that. But actually, my phone is still working. You're talking about the game tomorrow?
Yes, and how important is it for Toronto to win this game given their history of injuries?
It's huge. It's huge because if Toronto loses this game, let's do some simple math. Then Toronto is only one game up of Montreal and Hamilton. And considering most of this division is going to get swallowed up by, I mean, as I've said before, I think every team in the West should make it. But you want to win this division. And this is a big game for Toronto. They had trouble against Hamilton last year. We saw a couple games where, Andy Fantuz would have 150-yard plus games. And I think the most interesting thing about tomorrow, let's face it, the single most important thing is going to happen before the game begins. We're going to see all the sweeping shots of the stadium, and we're going to wonder, is it safe? Are there going to be more fires? What food is being served? Thankfully, the beer is there, so that's good. But after we get over that, it's going to be about Zach Caleros going up against his former team. That's going to be the most interesting thing we're going to see. How do the wide receivers, especially Fantuz, how do they do now they've got Caleros back against a Toronto secondary that actually has been playing better, at least numbers-wise, than you would expect. But that, for me, is the biggest thing I'm expecting. But, I mean, let's face it, big picture, if Toronto gets the win, then it puts themselves minimum two games up on the next in the closest competition, which right now is Montreal. And that's big for a Toronto team that is still, dealing with trying to figure out what their identity is.
Matt Cauz joining us here on TSN 690 as we talk some CFL and perhaps a little Blue Jays as well. We aired the game here on TSN 690 today, and a big win in Derek Jeter's final game. What does it say about Toronto fans that they get 45,000 to sell out today for Jeter's final game, if anything?
Oh, see, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to lure me in. You're trying to lure me into your cynicism trap. It's not going to work, Matt Ross. Actually, I was very happy to see it. I wanted to see a sellout because this is history. Now, I'll do my best not to wax poetic, and I get why people are tired of it and they're cynical. We saw it happen last year with Mariano Rivera. But this is the Yankees. They've won 5 World Series with Mariano Rivera and with Derek Jeter. They go to the playoffs almost every year. To quote from Death of a Salesman, attention must be paid, and it should be paid for Jeter. When Jeter got his first 200-hit season, do you guys know what movie won Best Picture?
Boy, that's a great question. I
know.
Don't
By
know.
the way, when someone says it's a great question, it means they don't have an answer. You're stalling.
Yeah.
You don't know. It was
No.
Titanic.
Oh, come on, really?
It was Titanic. You know when he got his last 200-hit season? When The Artist won Best Picture a couple of years ago. Not a very good movie, by
Now,
the way.
what are you doing here? I mean, are you trying to live up to your blue blood reputation? Why are you quoting Oscar winners in the midst of Jeter?
I'm using that as a method of perspective.
Okay.
Derek Jeter, he's not the
You're
greatest.
just trying to use your degree at McMaster. That's what you're trying to do.
Listen, I have to. I spent thousands of dollars. Please let me have this. Don't take this away from me. Please don't. My parents are so very upset, considering I never went to business. But the basic point is Jeter has been so consistent for so long. Rarely has he been injured until late in his career. And I know he's not the best shortstop in the history of the game. Wasn't even, or second baseman, in Yankee history. That would go to A-Rod. Or, a shortstop. I keep getting that mixed up. But when you look at the consistency of him, I mean, this guy, he started his career on my birthday, May 29th, 1995. And every year he gets you 170, 180 hits, and he deserves the attention he's getting. And I know Major League Baseball, we slurp it up a little too much and they go a little overboard, but I can understand why when it's Jeter.
He is Matt Cauz. CFL.ca is where you can check out the writings. TSN 1050 at 9 a.m. on weekdays is where you can
That's
hear
right,
him.
9 to noon, Macco and Cauz. That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah, good name. Pretty good name. And Twitter as well, mcauz56. Thank you, sir. And kudos on the phone working.
I know. I was going to say the phone is working the entire time. I'm feeling good. I'm watching the Winnipeg Saskatchewan game. I'm going to try to base my column on this because I know everyone expects me to write about Toronto Hamilton. So I think I'll try to go the other way. No offense, I'm not going to be writing about Hamilton or about Montreal and Ottawa.
Good strategy there. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah. Hey, take care. Have a great day.